Hello YouTube, my name is Paul, hope you're all keeping well. Welcome back to another pickups video. I've got a nice array of games to show you. A bit like usual really, going from the Sinclair Spectrum right through to the PlayStation. Now recent purchases have been quite slow, which is not a bad thing, as I'm coming towards the end of what I want to pick up. There's quite a few, again, impromptu pickups that I never intended to buy. They just come up because they've been great value. Or games that have popped up that actually, I don't remember the name of the game, but I clearly remember the game, but I've never been able to find them. So yeah, I've also picked up a couple of new consoles, or one computer, one console, and I got my Atari St repaired, as it had a power fault. I thought it might have been a cable or the fuse, so I tried the new one, nothing happened. Apparently it's very common when the Atari St goes, you can't turn it on, it's just the power supply, which is situated within the side of the case. So yeah, I had to take it out, replace it. It's a cost of about 40 quid, so it's not a bad price really. If I set the actual machine off to be repaired, it might have cost me twice that. So yeah, what I'll do is show you the Spectrum games as per usual. First, so I've got no Atari 2600 games, I've got one on the way, but it's not arrived in time. So I was looking at a particular game, I don't know what prompted me to look at this game in the first place, I can't remember. But the artwork and the name of it is quite controversial, and certainly wouldn't have been done today. Now whilst I was searching for this game on World of Spectrum, it didn't appear, but a game before it was re-released it was called something else and slightly changed. And this game is called Happy Hour. Unfortunately it doesn't work, which is a shame. The one I wanted does work. This is the game that came out before they changed the name of it. The Adventures of Sober Will. Join Wobbly Will? Yeah, I think what the aim of the game basically is to visit different pubs and drink a lot and avoid certain baddies along the way, as you do. But the actual re-release game is called Alchemy. Look at that artwork, absolutely fantastic. Sort of thing I would have loved to have drawn when I was younger, but it is. So you've got different baddies, like I mentioned. You've got Percy the Punk, got an Alsatian dog, and you've got a copper, and you've got to avoid them whilst making your way towards the different pubs. Look at the little image at the bottom there showing you Percy the Punk and the Alsatian. But yeah, I didn't play it, I've not played it yet. I did test it and loaded fine, but I haven't actually got stuck into it. I think you had to play with joystick, I don't think there was redefined keys, so yeah, I will give it a go. I'll probably do a spotlight on it simply because of the flipping name. I mean, what game gets called Alchemy nowadays, eh? Absolutely fantastic. Back in the day when no one gave a shit what they called their games. So next up is a game that I picked up a little while ago. Cost me about 5 quid. I didn't realise there were 8-bit versions of this particular game. I remember seeing a video from Tutti UK, had this in the video, and I had just bought this game and he was asking about the 8-bit versions of it. But yeah, the game is Escape from the Planet of the Robot Monsters, which did get a release on the Commodore 64, Amstrad and Spectrum. I played the ST demo, a demo of the ST version, sorry, back in the time it was released. It wasn't a bad conversion on the 16 bits, but I have yet to load this one up and play it. A little bit of damage I think to one of the sides, as you can see, but it looks pretty cool with a box protector. But yeah, really surprised it's made it onto the 8 bits. Shouldn't be really, because graphically it's nothing special. It's one of those isometric worlds, but it's great fun. I really enjoyed it on the Atari St. Now the next game is a game I was after for a long time. I remember seeing a review of it in Sinclair User magazine, and it looks very similar, graphical style, very similar to Garfield's Big Fat Hairy Deal, or Snoopy. And that game is Handicap, which is a similar sort of game. Bit of an arcade adventure. You pick bits and bobs up to make certain other things work. Nothing on the back there, but it's based on the comic strip, which I'm assuming was in the Mirror newspaper. But yeah, a bit of a theme around pissheads in this one at the minute. But a cracking looking game. I always liked the look of it, that's why I bought it. But I will give it a go, because I've been wanting to play this game for about 30 years. Again, that was only about £2, it's quite cheap. And the final one to show you for the Sinclair Spectrum is probably one of the best Spectrum games ever released in my opinion. That's Exelon, which is an absolutely brilliant game. I've done a spotlight on this already for the Amstrad, which is actually a very good version of the game as well. It's very good on all different versions. I think I played the Commodore 64, but I've never played the 16-bit versions. got an amazing soundtrack. I really like the soundtrack. Got great graphics. It's kind of like what they call a run and gun game these days. It's just you don't run very fast in this game. If you played Cybernoid and Cybernoid 2, games like that, got very similar weapons. You shoot normal bullets and you've got these rockets that just pop out of your backpack, which is really cool. There's about 150 levels in this game. I can get to level 100, but yeah, it is one of my favourite games on the Sinclair Spectrum. That was about £5. Well, next up is some Commodore 64. Now, one of the games I'm after on a different system. One of the games was a bargain that I also am after on a different system, but never seemed to be able to get it. And the other game is a game I remember, just never knew the name of it. And thanks to Cine Steve, when he done his Commodore 64 top 30 video, he had this game in it, and finally I managed to get hold of it. It's a cartridge-based game. As you know, cartridges work on all the Commodore 64s. It's quite an old one as well. Copyright 1981. Bloody hell, it's older than I thought. That's Radar Rat Race. Now I remember this on my mate's Commodore VIC-20. He had this amongst many other cartridges. This was the particular game that stood out, but I can never remember what it was called. This only set me back £10, which is quite probably more than what it would go for. The auction price was set at less than £10. Catch your breath. Right, but yeah, it's a game which I remember it being in a maze. I remember cheese for some reason, and I remember a mouse. That's probably why I can never find Radar Rat Race. But I thought it was great fun. So I haven't tried it yet. I will give it a go because I've been dying to play this game again for probably about 35 years. So it's nice to get games that you've always wanted to play again, or play for the first time, because you remember seeing them in magazines. Right, next up is a game I really want on the Sinclair Spectrum, and I've got it on the Amstrad and the Commodore 64, and that's Tank, which is an arcade conversion of an SNK game of the same name. Now, if you like games like Atari Warriors, you might be disappointed, because this is very similar, but you play as a tank. But the difficulty is, in the arcade, the actual controls, you had one control, for, I think, for the turret, and one control for the actual tank itself, which does not translate very well to a one-button joystick. This game, I think, set me back about £10. I'm pretty sure I picked it up from Germany. Now, the Amstrad version, again, is not common. It's not common on any system, but I've owned the Amstrad floppy disk version, the Commodore floppy disk version, now the Commodore cassette. I really want it for the Sinclair Spectrum. So anybody knows where I can get it from, please let me know, because it's a flipping sod to get hold of. And the next game I've been after on the Amiga, and I went into a bit of a bidding war with someone not that long ago and lost. I think it went for about £105. Then not that long after that, this came up for the Commodore 64 at buy now of £20. So I snapped it up. That game is Gem X, which is a strange puzzler. You've got to change the colour of the gems to progress. Now, I didn't play it for long, but I did play it when I made the Amiga Power Top 100 video a few months ago. It wasn't a bad little game, but certainly something you need to read the instructions to play it. But yeah, this game popped up, £20. I snapped it up. It does load. It's got an absolutely fantastic title tune. It's brilliant. One of my favourite Commodore 64 title tunes actually I've ever heard. But yeah, I did like the Amiga one as well. Done by Chris Hulsbeck, who's probably done some of the best musical scores on the Amiga ever. But Gem X was a bargain. So yeah, I'm not sure what its true value is, but for getting it for £20, I thought it was a bargain. Right, next up we've got the Atari ST. Now, the games I'm after on the ST are games I had years ago. And a lot of these games I've also got on the Amiga, because the Amiga was the machine I always wanted. The ST is what I got. But I always wanted to see what the differences were between the two. I've always been quite curious like that. Now, the first game is Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles, and calling a game or anything by the name of Ninja was like an arrestable offence. It wasn't, but it's bloody ridiculous, wasn't it? But yeah, it's not the arcade one, it's the other one. It's the one that isn't great. I remember sort of a mazy section, and I remember a bit in a tunnel, but that's about it. My friend got hold of this, and he seemed to get hold of a lot of games disc only, like the original disc, so I'm not sure what unorthodox channels he went through to get those. But it is complete with the stickers, the instruction manual, postcard, all the other bits and bobs you get in it, but it's quite a cheap game to pick up. Probably sold really well, but I think this one set me back about £5 maybe. But yeah, not really keen on it, but it does have a lot of nostalgia. If I remember rightly, the actual code book is so flipping horrible you can hardly read the codes. I think it's on that black, on like a really dark red colour, so it's a flipping nightmare to read the code. Right, next up, a couple of games again I used to have. In fact, all these I had on the ST, and that's Xenon. Recently picked this up for the Sinclair Spectrum. I think I had this on a, well, my friend might have had this on a silica disc he got when he got his Atari St. A fantastic shoot 'em up, especially for its time. But yeah, Bitmap Brothers game. Music was done by David Whittaker. It's got a very good title tune. I had it on the Spectrum originally, which was a really good port over. So it's complete with all its bits and bobs. So I had this already, but unfortunately the one I had wasn't complete. I think this one again, including post, was probably about £10, maybe slightly less, but it's in almost mint condition. It's fantastic. Next up is a game I picked up as part of a bundle, and that game is Thunderblade. Now this has got no instructions with it, but I've got it on the Amiga. The Amiga version I got doesn't work, so I'll probably just put instructions into that. And then chuck the Amiga version away, to be honest, because it's a very cheap game. Again, this was probably only about £5. No, it wasn't. It was part of a bundle, but probably you wouldn't get much more than £5 for it. And I love the arcade original. I remember seeing it in a local chip shop, and I was blown away by the old sprite scaling. It looked absolutely fantastic, especially because you can change the perspective. But you can't change it yourself, it changes itself, if that makes sense. So one minute you're looking down, next thing you're looking front on. It looked absolutely amazing. Just comes with the 2 discs. No instructions. I've not played the ST one for a long time, so I can't really remember what it was like. But also in the Spectrum version, which wasn't a bad conversion based on the machine's limitations, it just didn't have any decent sound or music. And that is Thunderblade. But last but not least on the ST, it's probably one of my favourite games on the system actually, and that is Supercars. Really good game on the ST as it is on the Amiga. The Amiga version does look and sound superior, but for some reason I prefer playing this one. I think some of the reason for that is when you play the Amiga version, there's so much on the screen in terms of the graphics and the amount of colours they used, it can be a little bit cluttered, whereas the ST version's quite plain in comparison, and everything's kind of, I don't know if you can see the screenshots very well, but you can make out the graphics a bit better. Now I'm going to do a spotlight video on this one as well, just so you can probably see the difference between the two, because I have a bit of Amiga footage before I play this on the ST. But with the spotlight videos, I tend to do games that I played on the machines I played them on. But yeah, so this one I think I offered the seller £10, they refused. Then I put a bid on it, I think it was like a couple of quid, and I won it for £7.50. So yeah, sometimes that happens. It's got a bit of concaving going on there. I can't really see if you can see it. There you go. But yeah, it's not in mint condition or nothing, but I'm really pleased to have it back, even though I do have it on the Commodore Amiga. And that's the version I remember it on. Speaking of the Amiga, let's crack on with a few Amiga pickups. Now one of them completes a set within a set within a set, which is the Psygnosis Slim boxes. Now these games also came out in the big box, so I'm glad I got that. I think I picked up Shadow of the Beast 2 not long ago, and that was one of the ones I needed, but this was the final one. I picked up another game I bought recently and sold on, because the copy I bought was in really crap condition. And this next game I didn't realise got an Amiga release, and that is Fourth and Inches, an American football game. I've never seen this on the Amiga. I've seen it plenty of times for the Commodore 64. And one of those nice little clamshell cases, which are quite rare and far and few between on the Amiga. Now I'm not sure if this game is properly complete. You'll see why in a minute. So the game was originally released by Accolade, I think, in the United States. But in the UK, it came out under US Gold. A customs declaration sticker in there for some reason. But the disc is the original Accolade one, and not a US Gold one that I was expecting. And this only cost me a £5. But yeah, so if anybody else has ever seen this game or played it, let us know. But when I go into Hall of Light, the only information on there is the American version and not this particular cover art. So like I said before, I do like these oddities. So if I see something come up that I think I've never seen that before, I will check Hall of Light, and I will check the save scans they've got in case there's anything I've come across which they don't have. But yes, Fourth and Inches. I'm not keen on American football at all. I just like the artwork, and I like the fact that it's an obscurity. Alright, next two games are very popular games on the Amiga. The first one being Magic Pockets. I've had this before, picked it up before for about 30 quid, but it was full of sellotape. This one is not in mint condition either. I think this one was about 25 quid. It's a cracking little game, very similar to the ST version. From what I remember, My Brothers did try and make both versions as identical as possible. And it comes with all this paraphernalia, a couple of posters, a couple of discs, or one disc. Yeah, one disc, and the music done by Betty Boo. What more could you ask for? Again, a game I remember on the ST, not on the Amiga. But I'm after a full set of Bitmap Brothers games on the Amiga. I think I'm only missing the original Speedball now. I'm pretty sure. I've been trying to pick that one up for quite some time, but never really got it. I've been bidding on it when it was at a low price. It's always gone for about £20–25, which is far more than I expected to sell for. And the final Amiga title, it's a game, like I said, I've got it on the big box. And that's Awesome, which I think I picked up, I think it went for over 20 quid, maybe 25, I can't remember. In its slim box form. So that's all the slim boxes now in the collection. The only thing I really need to get now, if I want to do another collection within a collection within a collection, is to get all the games that come out in a big box, long box, with their t-shirts. So yeah, cracking, I'm glad to have it. I've turned the owl around, as I usually do, because otherwise it becomes a little bit concave. That's that white bit there, if you're not sure what that is. Comes on 3 discs, all works, and instructions. I'm really pleased to have it. Another milestone in the collection. The game itself is actually very good. It's kind of an Asteroids clone at the beginning. I've never really got too far in the game. I'm pretty sure it's pretty much like that throughout. But you do land on certain planets, and I'm pretty sure there's parts within the game they're actually on the surface of the planet as well. So yeah, cracking game. I love the artwork on it. I do like that. Some kind of like capital ship, I think. Well, not be. It might be actually a planet, but it looks more like a ship than anything else. So that's that one. That's the final game on the Amiga. So the last games to show you are going to be for the PlayStation 1. Now, I've been picking up PlayStation 1 games as and when. I've only got a list of about 10, because at the minute I'm trying to cut back on buying stuff. But I would like to get a collection of about 150 to 200 games. There's more of a longer term aim, because at the minute some games or some consoles, the prices are actually going down and not up. Very evident on the Sega Dreamcast at the minute as well, and the CD32, especially the more common titles. I sold a batch off recently at auction, and they went for a lot less than I expected. Nothing fancy, but games that used to go for more when I was collecting them than they do now. So maybe that's a sign of things to come, who knows. But yeah, there is a cooling down, I think, in the old prices with a lot of the more common games. I wouldn't say that for the rare titles, because they keep going up in price. So first up is a game I remember in the magazines, but I never had it. And I would like to get a load of games that were released between 95 and 97. And that's Shockwave Assault. This was dirt cheap. Don't think no one likes this game. You can see from the back of the shot there a bit of full motion video. But yeah, I've been after this one. I've been after a few like this in the double cases. I know Roller Core collects for them specifically. I don't want to do a collection like that. I'd love to have it, to be honest, but I'm going to go for, like I said, 150, 200 games. But there's a few other games in the double cases that I'm after. Again, I've never played that game before. I can barely remember it, but I remember it being in the magazine in the early years. Now, another double case game is a tennis game called Breakpoint by Ocean Software. Again, not played this one. I picked this one up because it was cheap and because it was Ocean Software. And besides that, that's the only reason why I picked it up. Next up is a game I've got on the Sega Saturn. Again, a really good sort of mech game. Quite an early release as well, and that's Crazy Ivan. Pretty sure this came out about 96. It might have been the end of 95. I'm sure it's 96. But again, a cracking little game. I played this one briefly. But yeah, not really played many of these kind of mech warrior style games, but it does look alright. Obviously PlayStation 1 games have aged quite poorly, but yeah, it looks like good fun. So we'll give that one a go at some point as well. There's so much to do with so little time. And finally was a game I bought when I got my PlayStation. I bought a PlayStation off my brother in 1999. I think it's one of the first games I picked up, which was Resident Evil 3. I had a PlayStation originally from 95 to 97. Then PC, then I wanted a PlayStation back, so I wanted to play a game called Driver, which looked absolutely amazing. And this game itself was brilliant. I played this one to completion. And I do hope they remake this one as well. because I absolutely loved it. I think I've still got the original memory card I got free with it downstairs in the old box of tricks. But yeah, cracking game, lovely game to have in the collection. There are some other games, Resident Evil games, don't have on the PlayStation, like the remake, is it the Director's Cut? And there's another one, Survival or Survivor or something, which is I think it's first person, I think. But that's it, there are more games to show you. A couple of nice little titles I've picked up quite recently, but I'm not going to show you them this month. They can wait till next month, because at some point I'm going to run out of material for pickup videos, because I am literally going to come to a grinding halt unless I collect for a different system, which may happen, it may not this year. But yeah, so yeah, Revival is only what, 10 days away, 11 days away, so I'm really looking forward to going to that and meeting up with a lot of you guys. There's plenty of people going I've never met before, so I do look forward to saying hello. I know YouTubers are quite synonymous with saying that sort of thing, and sometimes I've met people who aren't as friendly as they may seem, but yeah, definitely say hello, because I look forward to seeing a lot of you there. A lot of you, most of you, all of you. Yeah, what I'm talking about. So I'm getting up there with Big Mike, Without Further Ado Retro. If you've not met Big Mike before, pop over to his channel. It is called Without Further Ado Retro. Again, got a fantastic collection himself. So I'm meeting up with Mike on the Friday, as far as I know, and we're travelling up. So yeah, look forward to that. So there will be a few more videos out between now and then. I will get the spotlight done on Supercars. I've got part 3 of the Q&A to do, and I'll try and get the PlayStation 3 Collector's Edition video done as well. So there's a few more bits I want to wrap up before I start going around full circle and looking at some of these collection videos again. Because a lot of the collections have changed over the last sort of 2 years since I've been doing YouTube. Some have come, some have gone, and new games have come in, obviously. It's quite sad to see Ash Shake One Before You contemplating selling some of his CD32 collection off as well. But it does happen. I've done exactly the same thing myself. Ironically, the only one I haven't done it with is the CD32. But everything else I have sold games from to raise money to buy games which I really would like in the collection. And I would do it again. If FM Town's Mighty games suddenly appeared, and I want to pick a load up and they're quite expensive, I would sell games off to compensate for those pickups, because I'd rather have those in the collection than some of the games I've got in the collection. So I do use some of it as trade fodder. Well, not CEX fodder, it just literally go back on eBay from whence it came. But that's it. Thank you very much for watching the video. Thank you very much for subscribing. I'll see you again real soon. Take care and bye for now.